Welcome back to Traders Cast, another episode with Mr. Manny. Super excited to have you here, man, because I think that you know more about e-commerce and sales than most people understand in the whole internet, due to the fact that whenever you see on the internet someone promoting e-commerce, it's a shithead behind a Lamborghini or behind a nice house saying, I've done this much in sales. I took this keyboard from Alibaba and I'm selling it. You bought it for $10 and you could sell it for $30. And so many people fall under the misconception of, if he did it and he's successful, I could do it. You get me? Or they fall under the misconception of, that looks pretty easy to do, getting something from Alibaba and transferring over to an Amazon storefront or a wholesale storefront and just reselling it. But they don't understand all the little intermediate things that you have to do, like the operations, the Facebook managing, how you explained to me before we started the podcast, Amazon now only ships out things with their logo on it. So if it has a logo of Home Depot, they're not going to allow it to be shipped out. And that's why they stopped drop shippers back in the day. And now how more drop shippers are coming into the industry. But why don't you give the community a brief overview of who you are, where you came from, and what do you do on a day-to-day basis?
Okay, so thank you for having me in the podcast. I really appreciate it. It's really an honor to be sitting here and be able to share value to the people listening. So I just pray that whatever value I say from here, that it reaches your heart, and that you're able to receive it. So I would say my name is Manny. I'm Cuban, and I came to this country when I was 13 years old. And right away, you guys know how Cubans are mistreated here in this country, right? A lot of people call us names like refugees and things like that. So I started dealing with that in high school, right? A lot of bullying.
How old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 30.
So you were in high school at 18?
I'm class 2009. I'm class 2009.
Okay. So back in the day, it was rough in 2009?
Yeah. Listen, that's never stopped. It's never going to stop. It's always been a thing, the ref thing.
Is it because you came on a ref?
No, it's because references to refugee. And Cubans that come from Cuba, Cuba's a communist country. So you come here as a refugee from a communist country, right? It's the only country that you could claim a refugee because...
Makes sense, yeah. Because when I came from Cuba, I was 3. So I'm pretty much American.
Yeah.
Because when I was 3, I didn't know any English. I barely knew any Spanish. And I immediately went to elementary where you learn English.
Exactly.
Yeah. But as you were saying?
So, yeah, man, it was extremely hard, right? I was always an outgoing kid. Everybody loved me in my block. I get here to this country, everybody calling me ref, bullying me. So, you know what that did? That put a lot of anger in my heart. Started rebelling. I went down a dark path. I started fighting in school, joining gangs, right? Rebelling. Ended up getting kicked out in the 10th grade. When I got kicked out in the 10th grade, everything went downhill from there. I joined night school. I started smoking weed at that time, started doing drugs, started selling drugs, and I have multiple arrests. Yeah. I have over 13 felony arrests that I've had on my record since that time. So I lived a life of debauchery, drunkenness, drug addiction, delinquency. I was pretty much to death or to jail for life.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm so sorry to cut you off, but with all of those cases and all of those things, it's like, when I look at it, I ask people who have done it, not you specifically, or I ask people who want to get inside that industry or want to get that life, why? Like, have you not seen all the TV shows where El Chapo, how did he end up in jail? Yeah. Pablo Escobar, the biggest guy, how did he end up? The people that were going against him, these 3 mafia lords, whatever, in Colombia, how did they end up? One ended up in jail. The other 2 ended up getting shot. Every time I've seen something of this high-powered criminal organization, gangs, whatever it is, they always get fucked up by the system, whether it's death or prison, state prison, federal prison, or maximum security prison. And I see it so many times in different movies. Like, you always see the bad guy getting caught.
Yeah.
So, when I think about it, I've never been in a gang or anything. Thank God I was like blessed to like go down, I'm not going to say the right path.
Yeah, the right path.
You get me? I was blessed not to do that type of, I was blessed not to be in the situation to do those things, because those things come from, like you said, you were getting picked on. You were getting frustrated that this was going on in your life. You just came from, I was really cool to hang around with in the block, and then you come into this country and people are picking on you for no reason.
Just because I don't speak the language.
Just because you want a better opportunity in life, because that's why you came to this country. So I understand that, but to all the kids that are growing up in tough neighborhoods and this and that, it's like, why go to a gang? Like, what do you think you're going to get from a gang long term? Like, oh, I'm cool. I'm a part of a blood gang. Like, it's so fucking retarded, because after a year, 2 years, when you're really involved in gang shit, you're going to get shot. You're going to get stabbed. You have to look over your shoulder every day. Am I going to get jumped? Am I going to get, is there going to be a drive-by? You get me? Thank God things have calmed down going into this time period. But back in the 1980s and 1990s, I would see movies like Boys in the Hood.
Yeah, murders everywhere.
Fucking a drive-by pop motherfucker. I was like, yo,
there's no cameras.
This is fucking crazy. No cameras.
Wild Wild West.
Have you seen the movie Menace to Society?
Of course. I've seen them all.
Bro, I laugh so much at this movie, but what are you going to do? Like, nowadays when you get shot, there's cameras everywhere. But back in the day, you're fucked. Like, no one knows shit. And yeah.
Yeah, and just to interject, right? Kind of like to go back into the question, why is it that these people choose this life, right? And I asked myself the very same question, and I think that God gave me the answer. So the answer to that question is, you have a lack of identity. So when you grow up in a household,
that's powerful.
Yeah. So when you grow up in a household where your father does not instill identity in you as a male role model, how you're supposed to be as a man in the world, the things that you do and the things that you don't do. And he takes the time to actually instill his mindset into his kids. Because if I go to school, right, I'm going to be facing a lot of issues that as a kid I don't know how to deal with. But you as a father could instill your wisdom on me. So when I get there, I'm like, let's say my last name, Lo Fromeda, right?
Yeah.
That's my last name. So let's say if I sign an identity to that last name, an identity of honor, I would say, nah, man, I'm a Fromeda. I don't do that, bro.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? But since that was never instilled in me, since I never have identity, I became the opinions of others. I became
powerful.
The opinions of the people that liked me. The people that liked me are like, bro, you're so crazy. You're wilding out. I loved it. I did it more to get more attention, to feel like I belong more. Oh, Manny, you're so crazy. I did it more. Oh, so every opinion that someone had of me, I became that because I have no identity. I didn't know who I truly was. So
that's big.
That led me to a path of trying to discover who I am. I thought at the time, and remember that your surroundings is everything, right? Would you agree that your surroundings and everything that surrounds you has a high chance to affect your upbringing?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, so imagine now that you're surrounded by negative people that have no education, that the only thing they know how to do or make money is by selling drugs. They don't want to get a job. They don't want to do this.
They want to do it the easy way.
They want to do it the easy way. And some of these people do have like good intentions. Some of these people have entrepreneurship like mindsets. They just never had that role model that guided and channeled that desire into the right way.
That's true. Every drug dealer, in my opinion, has some type of entrepreneurship mindset, because you need to know business to sell drugs. You need to... selling a drug is like doing 4 different positions at one time. Here's what I mean. You have to know how to sell. You have to know how to negotiate. You have to be your own fucking security guard. You have to be so many fucking things at once. Maybe if you were stirred in the right direction, you could apply this towards business or towards something. And what you said is so fucking true, man, because I could relate to it. Not knowing your identity. I feel like I went through that when I accomplished success. And I was going out to clubs. I was going out to parties. I was wearing the high expensive watches, driving the nice cars. I still drive the nice cars. But I feel like everyone's opinion was a reflection of what I wanted to become. And people were just like, yo, you have the dopest watch. You have the nicest car. You have the fastest car. And now, going on to this year, I had a conversation with my mentor. And my mentor's like, bro, remember your roots and remember what you did when you were broke as a joke. to get to where you're at.
Yeah.
It wasn't all those things that you wear, that you use. It was the kid who was hungry for a better life, essentially. And that's what really now in this day and age just has me like saying, I don't give a fuck about what I wear.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care about designer clothes. You want to wear it, great. I don't, your opinion on my clothing I don't lose sleep over it. I don't lose sleep over your opinion on my car, over what I wear. I don't even wear watches now because I have tattoos. I'm like, here's my watch. This is my most important watch, 813, the time I was born. You get me?
Come on.
Not that I don't like watches, but it's not what I care about. Like, I care about much bigger things than that. I don't really care about people's opinions anymore. Because people's opinions aren't who I am. You get me?
Come on.
And something you did say is people fall into that because they don't know who they are, right? Once you figure out who you are and you have a savage inside of you, you could go out and, in my opinion, make a killing in business. Because nowadays you're dealing with pussies who don't know who they are, dealing with people who in general just don't want to move the needle forward because they think it's too hard. Their perception of pain, their perception of failure is actually bigger than what they think is gonna happen to them.
Yeah.
Right? So if you have an inch of motivation and consistency within you, you're gonna get very far in this day and age. And something else that I wanted to quote out is, if the devil does not fuck you over in failure, he will surely fuck you over with success.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Hey.
Crazy.
Deep.
And I realized this because I didn't, I have failed in life hard, but I stood back up harder. And that's what helped me get to the success. But now when I got to the success is when he got to me through all the clubs, all the dumb shit. I mean, I've done things that you shouldn't do in Vegas and dumb shit.
Hey.
You get me? But it's things that when I look back at them, I don't regret doing them because they've helped me develop the character I am today. But I'm ultimately grateful that I know who I am, I know what I want to do, and I know how I'm going to do it moving forward. So speaking about that, you went through this era where you had to overcome all of these things. You went into the gangs. You realized that wasn't the life for you. Or when did you realize? Actually, no, you explained that through the message that God sent you in terms of knowing who you are as a person. From that point forward, what did you do next?
I could tell you exactly. Just to answer that question, the moment that happened, the moment that I realized that I had no identity and I needed to find myself, was the time that it was the last time that I got in trouble. And I don't know if you know what this means, but they gave me a PBL. That's called punishable by life. So check this out. I was facing life in prison, right? Because of my record. It was pretty big. Like they don't give you too many chances.
Yeah. If you don't mind me asking, or
Yeah.
you saying, can you explain what were like 3 out of the 12 crimes?
Yeah, okay. So possession of weed, like it was one of them. Like having weed on me at the time that it was really like a criminal thing to do.
Now you have a
Right?
weed
Like
card.
you know, car hopping, how those people open the car doors and the steel was inside.
Yeah.
That got one charge for that. I got a charge for burglary, so entering a house, a property. And the last charge was like I had got caught using fake money buying iPhones on Craigslist for people. So it was, I guess, using counterfeit as a federal crime. It's nothing to play with. Right? They did not like it, yeah. So they wanted to give me life. And at that moment, I realized I have no other way out but to analyze the decisions that I made thus far. And at that moment, I realized that my decisions had led me to that point, and I needed a way out. So I reached out to God and I said, I promise to you, I need to say this because this is important, what happened in my life, right? I had nowhere to turn. I had nowhere to go. I entered into my jail cell. Imagine this, picture this. I enter into my jail cell. They're telling me that they're going to give me life in prison. I'm never going to see my family ever again. I'm never going to have kids. I'm going to be surrounded by men for the rest of my life. Horrible. I go into a jail cell and they lock the door. I'm by myself and I have a Bible in my hand. And I looked at the Bible, I opened and I said, Lord, if you're real, I need a miracle. And this is what I'll do in exchange. I'll read the Bible and I'll do whatever it tells me to do. So I started shaping my character according to the character of how the statutes of the Bible speak about. Being an honest man, not lying, being humble, right? And that started shaping me, brother.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, the most beautiful thing happened. And this is where the e-com journey began, right? The most beautiful thing happened. I spent 2 years fighting my case. And the Lord awarded me a miracle. He extended mercy upon me. They wanted to give me life. And the prosecutor got moved last minute, the day of my trial. And the new prosecutor didn't want to have a trial with me. She offered me a deal. She's like, look, you already done time. I'm going to give you 5 years probation. Do you want it? And I said, yes, I want it after 2 years.
So what's 5 years probation? Explain that.
5 years probation is when they let you out on a conditional release. That conditional release means that you're going to be part of society, but at that time, you're not going to do alcohol. You're not going to drink. You're not going to smoke
randomly
weed.
drug test you?
They randomly drug test you. You got to have a job. You got to pretty much integrate yourself into society and prove to them that you're part of society. Yeah. So at that point, I'm a brand new man.
How old are you at this point?
22.
22.
So, yeah. So I'm 22, right? So I've been doing this since I was like 16. I told you I got kicked out, right? So I'm 22. I got out. I got a new life. Now I wrote in a piece of paper. Every morning I used to wake up and write my goals and write my visions and manifest a bunch of things for my life, right?
Yeah.
So you know what I ended up happening? I wrote in a piece of paper that I wanted to make money online and I wanted to make 10K a month. At that time, 10K a month for somebody that high school dropout was like life-changing money, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I decided to go full force.
Yeah.
And that's how my e-com journey began.
Wow. That is so powerful because you were looking for this one miracle and things happen in a way that we say, wow, what a coincidence that the prosecutor got changed. And the other one just, it's just like, fuck your case. I don't want to deal with you. 5 years, this is what I could offer you. It's crazy how things happen, and they all happen for a reason.
True.
A lot of people ask me, hey, Lewis, what do you think about the future? Like, how can I change my future? How can my future be brighter? And I'm like, start by changing your present. Whatever you do on your present will be a reflection of your future. So most people always say, oh, I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to do it tomorrow. Well, that's going to be the reflection of your future.
Come on.
Tomorrow. It's not going to be anything new because you're not doing anything new. But that's very impactful. And I feel like thus far, nobody has really shared something that's so impactful like that. Now that we're getting into the e-commerce space, what was your first product? Actually, not what was your first product. What has been your biggest product, like the most successful one?
Yeah.
And what has been your biggest flunk?
Yeah. Okay. That's a really good question.
Yeah.
Man. Thank you. So, my biggest product is my brand that I don't have anymore. This, as you know, drop shipping products die out, seasons die out. I had this brand for 5 years. The backstory how I find this product, quote unquote, because it's many products. It's a niche. They have, just to give you some sort of background, for drop shipping, you have different ways to setting up a drop shipping store. We have one product store, which is one product, a website with one product. You have a niche, which is like a brand. Let's say a website for gaming.
Yeah.
Right? And then you have a general store, which is like a Walmart, like has everything. You could test a bunch of different products in that website.
Makes sense.
Right? So
which typically do the best?
For me, one
you.
product stores and niches.
Okay.
Those two. Starting with the one product store doing the best for me after my successful brand.
Okay.
So I ended up seeing this influencer, I know a lot of people probably know, called Dan Folger. Dan Folger.
You know who that is, Chris? Okay.
So Dan Folger at the time, he was popping in social media, showing yachts, like Rolls Royces, the lifestyle. I'm like, this is what I want to do. What does this guy do? He was following one page.
Don't tell me Ty Lopez.
Bro, listen to me. He was following one page. And when I looked at that page, it was his brand with the product that was making him all the money.
Wow.
Man, I'm telling you. And at that moment, something
Thought
came
it was
over me.
fucking Ty Lopez.
Nah, at that moment, something came over me. And I'm like, this is it. Immediately. And by the way, let me tell you what it was. You know, jewelry, customized jewelry?
Yeah.
That's
your best product.
That was my best product. But guess what? The custom picture pendant. Have you ever seen the custom picture pendants?
No.
It's a circle. With
Oh,
a picture.
yes. I know what that is.
Okay, but those are normally with gold and diamonds, so people cannot afford them.
Yeah.
So I made them with gold plated.
Makes
On
sense.
cubic zirconia, I used to sell them for $80, right?
Wow.
So that was my first successful product. I ended up doing the first year we launched is $1 million in sales, 20% net. That was my biggest net year.
Okay.
20% was my biggest net year ever in drop shipping when it came to big numbers. And fast forward to 2023, that brand ended up doing $15 million in combined sales, and we ended up profiting like around 15%. So not much, but pretty good, right?
15 million, 15% is 1.5.
Like 250 a year for the last 5 years.
Nice.
So 250 a year profit for the last 5 years. It was pretty good on average, right? But it's not life-changing money as people think, and that's why I kind of wanted to address that point that you were saying earlier.
The
misconception
of them seeing Ty Lopez books is what.
If I show you a screenshot right now with a store that did $15 million in sales, you're gonna say, Manny, you must have at least 4 or 5 of those millions, right? But what people don't understand that's just revenue.
Exactly. They don't understand the net revenue in the aspect of things.
So the net revenue is 15%, like I just explained to you. So we had to pay Facebook ads, insanely expensive, and we had to pay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
In the Facebook ads that you paid, so there's a guy named Greg Ryder, right? Who is he's very big in the e-commerce space. Mm-hmm. He's like, Lewis, per day I was spending like 20-30K on ads per day. He's like, I have so many points on my credit cards, I could do anything for free at this point.
True.
Was that your situation where you accumulate so many fucking points?
Yes. The most I ever spent on a day, I never got to his level. The more I ever spent on a day on ads was 12K.
Damn.
Right?
Fuck.
9K a day. So you got to understand, like, you spend 9K and you're making 30K days, right? But you're putting 9K in marketing, bro. That's eating at your profit margins, right?
Exactly.
You're not counting the people that have to fulfill the product, right? If you have a fulfillment center, they charge per shipment, okay? If you don't have a fulfillment center, like I have my warehouse in Doral, right?
Yeah.
And I have people work minimum wage, right? Here, just packing orders for me. It was cheaper for me than just paying out. Because when you do volume in e-com, you do 20,000 units. Bro, if you save $2 on 20,000 units,
40,000.
That's 40,000 a month. Multiply that by a year. So in e-com,
480. Holy fuck.
So in e-com, this is a golden nugget that I'm going to say right here. Do you want to scale the e-com operations? Check this out. It is easier for you to deduct your expenses in your business by 20%, therefore increasing the revenue of your business by 20%, that you figuring out a way to increase the revenue of your business an extra 20%. Because that extra 20% is going to come with added employees that you need to hire, added work, added load, right? So at the end of the day, it's going to add more onto you versus, okay, can I save 20% if I get the product for cheaper? If I change my payment provider, if I change from Stripe to PayPal, yes, I can. So now my business is generating 20% more revenue.
Speaking about that, I did want to ask you, what payment provider do you use? Because I've used PayPal, I've used Stripe, not for e-commerce, but for the trading industry. And it's a bitch. Yeah. Like, they are so hard.
They hold your money.
They hold, like, once in PayPal, I remember in 1 month I made like 60 something thousand. And then they're like, we have to hold your funds for 180 days. I'm like, for what? And then they're like, oh, to see if anyone disputes or does a chargeback. Nobody did. I got the money, but it was the fact that I had to wait 6 months for my money. Have you had to deal with any annoying payment providers?
Yeah. And that's when we get to one of my first failures in drop shipping.
The payment provider.
Yes.
Oh, wow. That happened to me. One of my failures in the trading
industry. Think about it right now. If you're a business owner that you are operating a business, right? You have $60,000 in revenue that month. And the next month, you got to buy inventory. You got to pay employees.
And you're not getting your fucking, holy fuck.
So imagine in drop shipping that you don't even hold the inventory. So you cannot even physically get the product to the client, brother.
Wow.
In drop shipping, the worst thing that could happen for you is a payment processor holding your money, because that's the money that you got to pay the supplier in order for the supplier to ship the products. So then you know what these payment providers do to these people? They destroy their businesses. They hold their funds. Their customers complain. They do chargebacks. The chargeback percentage goes above 2%, and they say, we don't want to do business with you no more.
Exactly.
And we're going to hold your money for an extra 6 months. And that happened to me on a dropshipping store, and I lost it. when I had it already at 100K per month. Lost it. Massive amount of like chargebacks. Had to deal with a bunch of customer service. Had to come out and refund out of my own bank account. Nightmare. So yeah, man, that was literally like a bad one when it came to like a bad experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you actually we'll talk about it after this podcast. It's a payment provider that I could get you connected to. Pretty big. The payment provider, before the customer even could do a chargeback to the bank, they must do a chargeback to the payment provider, and they'll fight it for you, which is cool because with Stripe, when they do a chargeback, the bank immediately, right? Stripe doesn't fight it for you. You have to fight it yourself.
Yeah.
With this payment provider, they fight it for you, and on top of that, you're fighting it with them. So, it's very beneficial. Have you ever heard of it? It's WHOO. Whoop.
No. Whoop? I heard about the name Whoop, but no, I don't think if...
I'll get you connected to those
Get me
people.
connected because that is one of the biggest issues when it comes to drop shipping. I mean, payment providers are a pain, man, and they have caused a lot of suffering for people. A lot. I'm talking about lawsuits and all, you know? Think about it.
It's crazy.
I mean, what type of business is people running? Like, they literally have control over your business, and they're doing these things knowing that they're starving your business out of funds willingly, right? To then hold your money for longer. You know why? Because that money, what they do, the longer that money sits inside of PayPal's vault, they lend it and they earn interest on it, and they lend it and lend it more and lend it more. So if they hold your money for 6 months, they already lended it like 4 times.
Like the banking system.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
They're literally like electronic banking right now.
Wow. That makes a lot of fucking sense when you think about it, because
It's a scam.
I've had Stripe hold money. I've had them hold 100K at the time.
The most I ever held for me was 60K.
60K?
Yeah.
I had them hold 100K. I've had friends where Stripe had PayPal, not Stripe, but PayPal was holding at one time 3 million from them. They're involved in different industries outside of trading and e-commerce, but yeah, they were holding a lot of fucking money from them. So the nightmare for a e-commerce or drop shipper is your payment provider. Well, I could only imagine if you can't accept money, then how are you going to do things? How has your experience been with Shopify?
Love it. Amazing. Shopify is the best platform that you could ever use in the world, and better than WordPress, better than everything else. Shopify, and this is not a hard plug or anything. They're not paying me to say this. Every single successful e-com store that I know that are doing big numbers, like Gymshark, that now is considered a $1 billion company, they're in Shopify. Yeah,
They went public.
and the reason,
Yeah.
can I get some water?
Yeah. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Cool.
So,
Yeah.
like I was saying, like, where was I? Sorry.
You said that Gymshark is
Oh,
now a $1 billion company.
Yeah, $1 billion company,
and
bro,
they're
and that's
still
accurate. Yeah.
Okay.
So Gymshark is now.
Isn't that just a clothing brand?
Bro, is a gym clothing brand. But if you, I mean, the guy's a legend in the e-com space.
I'm sure the guy, the way he portrays it, this is gonna help your life. This clothing is gonna fucking. I feel like the way he markets it is next level.
I'll tell you exactly how he did it. He's like an icon in the e-com world. Think about it. He was me. He started his garage like I did.
Oh yeah. So yeah, he was
an icon, right? Like literally, the guy started from the garage, just like me. He started with his t-shirts from China, like he made them. And the way that he got big, he started going to trade shows, the bodybuilding trade shows, and started taking them the tanks and putting the tanks on super big bodybuilders that literally at the time had a bunch of followers. So guess what? Nowadays, he sponsors athletes. He understood the playbook for Nike, right? These athletes are looked up. Listen to the marketing strategy that these people use. They understand that humans are psychologically connected to an athlete that they look up to, right? They look at everything they do. They admire everything they do, how high they jump, how fast they run. So when they see that same athlete wearing a specific type of clothing, they associate the performance of that athlete with the clothing.
That's crazy, because remember when I was working out and you introduced to me ASRV? Bro, I grabbed like 6+ pairs of ASRV, every shirt you could imagine. I got so emotionally connected to this brand because of it's mad expensive. I didn't give a fuck. Uh, I got so emotionally connected to his brand because of what you said. It wasn't really an athlete. It was really just how the marketing looked, the branding looked. And now when I think about an athlete, I think about like Jeremy Buendia, who's a bodybuilder. He's a 4-time physique champion in the Olympia. And he was trained by Henny Ramball, who has he has transformed, or he has won 24 Olympia championships.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Not him
24.
himself, 24 as a coach for like Phil Heath, Jay Cutler, for some of the biggest names in the industry. Yeah, what's his name? Chris Bumstead.
Yeah, he's right now Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, he's coached all of these people, and his brand is Evogen, which is a protein pre-workout. It's a supplement company, but what has made me buy it, we know the supplement game, the industry is all fucked up. It's all corrupt. They might get it from the same source and just change the label and the packaging.
Legit, they do. Legit, I could tell you.
Right. So basically, but I wanted to buy Evogen, and I'm thinking Evogen is the best shit in the world because Henny Ramball was promoting it and because he has the success he's had. What he forgot to put in the fucking bottle was that bottle of Tren. But besides that, besides that, it's true. Like I fall into that because I fall into that in different things. Like what's another thing I could talk about? Like the gaming industry. You gaming, like, bro, I'm so big in Warzone. I'm not even the best player, but I have every skin. I have everything. And why? Because this guy that I see online, he has the skin and he's moving better around the map and doing things.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. So Gymshark owner, $1 billion icon in the e-commerce space. Is he doing things outside Gymshark at the moment?
Nah, he's fully focused on Gymshark. Gymshark obviously grew insanely well, and he just operated the business extremely well. What I see a lot from these e-com guys is like they constantly get a product, they blow it up, and then it dies.
No, it does. Yeah.
Right? So
that's why they say it's a seasonal thing.
Yeah. Like you got seasonal products, but there is some solid guys on e-com that they're not even public, right? They own 4, 5, 6 different brands, generating them crazy money, right? Because they're established brands, right? And once you get to a business of that level, you need to start setting up the corporate structure. You need to start bringing in like high-end talent. Like, for example, for me, with my brand, right? And our best year was $6 million in sales. Those $6 million in sales.
What was the net?
The net of that year was probably like around 20, 15, 18%. I'm not sure, but around that range. Same range every year, remember? Yeah. So the reason why is because I went ham on ads, right? I just go crazy on ads. And the reason why, I'll give you an example. The reason why I was able to do those 6 millions is because I set things in place that others drop shippers are not willing to do, which is systems. For example, the first thing that I did was like China is not going to make my stuff. I'm going to make it here. So I started using my brain. I started saying, okay, my product is damn, I'm going to put the game out there. That's crazy. My product is a custom picture pendant, right?
Yeah.
That comes already assembled from China, right? So how about if I ordered it not assembled? How about if I ordered it without the picture? And I'm like,
you're assembling it here in the US.
Yes. So how much is without the picture? Oh, that's $3 less. $3 less. Oh, okay. How much is it without the stones? We put the stones in here. Oh, $2 less. Okay, forget about all of that. How much is the raw brass for me to melt it and make it here? Oh, the raw brass is this. I took my product from $15 that it was costing me from my supplier and selling it for $80. I took that product all the way down to $4. So imagine the insane amount of profit I had. And I did that, right? Without having to put more money into ads. All I did was use my brain and start reducing processes from the supplier and doing it myself. Therefore,
that's big. So that's where another thing is in the e-commerce space. I see people like you have your whole manufacturing warehouse in Doral, and people have the misconception that they're going to get the product from Alibaba and it's just going to be shipped to the buyer and they're going to make a shit ton of money. They don't understand the fulfillment aspect of everything, where you need systems, you need people to do these systems, and people to do these works and these fulfillment orders on time. And What happens when you have employees who are late? What happens when you have employees who are sick? What happens when fulfillments get delayed? You know, you get customers bitching. You get the chargebacks. From the chargebacks, you get your Stripe, your PayPal getting shut down. And then it's such a shit show that most people need to understand that just because they see you in the industry having success with it, because on Instagram, you post your results, which is really good. Most people don't understand that that's not net profit, and they don't understand the work that's going on behind it. So every time you post the sales from a Shopify store, right? Let's say you have a store that made 50K on this month, right?
Yes,
How
sir.
many people typically reach out to you through DMs asking you, I need to get involved?
Yeah, a bunch.
Yeah.
A lot. Like okay, so
And do you sell any type of courses or anything?
no, I don't sell courses, right? I do coaching, right?
Coaching, okay.
Like, let's say I'll coach you if you need help with e-com. And my main focus right now is to help existing business owners that have e-com stores take them to the 7 and 8 figure level that I had already got to. I actually have a client right now, right here with me, that I ended up working with this client in 2018 from zero. And this client right now, last year, did like $12 million in sales.
Holy fuck.
Just by, obviously, again,
You must
not a
mute.
profit.
You must mute Shopify, and because
I have it muted.
that
Like,
ding,
you
ding.
see, that's not a flex for me no more, because that's an annoying thing for me now.
Oh, I love how you're saying that.
I don't understand why. Okay,
I mute that dumb shit,
bro. Like, mute it, because how you gonna deal with it coming over and over and over again? And when you have multiple stores, it's just gonna get too crazy.
Most people, when they get involved in the e-commerce or any type of sales and they're in Shopify and they hear the little ring, they're like, "Oh my god, I just made money."
Yeah.
When you get to such a nice level, you just mute that shit because it gets annoying. I remember when I used to live at my parents', that noise was the most satisfactional thing I could hear.
Man, brother.
My dad will be like, in Spanish, he'll be like, "The fuck is that shit? Mute it." And then I'm like, "No, that's me making money." And he'll laugh at me, and you get me. He didn't really believe the vision how I believed it, because he's a Hispanic parent from Cuba.
I dealt with the same things.
He thought you had to work really hard with your hands.
Yeah.
And, you know, have a career. And a career for him is
Go to college,
going to school, getting a diploma, getting a master's, and doing something. You get me? A career for me, I wouldn't really call it a career. What I do, I'll call it more entrepreneurship, is me managing operations for companies and scaling them. You get me? Not in the type of way where I'm selling a product, like physically selling a product, but digitally
you're selling a service.
A service, correct. And that's essentially where the paradigm, the mindset of our parents is what a lot of the times is what's stopping someone, right? Especially in third world countries and Latin countries from, doing something different with their lives in a way. The previous guest that I had onto the podcast, he's from Colombia. He was explaining how hard the situation is over there and how you only have really 4 options. The first one is a gang. The second one is politics. The third one is being in some type of sport, mainly soccer.
Yeah, soccer.
Because basketball, who the fuck watches basketball in Colombia? Yeah.
And then, or maybe narco, right? Or selling drugs.
That's gang. And then the last one was a singer. And I'm like, why didn't you become a singer? He's like, nah, bro, I'm not a good singer. So I'm like, damn, there is situations out there where people are being stopped and their parents' negativity or paradigm is not helping them any bit. Because I could assure you, when you were 22, you would have never thought you were going to be in e-commerce. No. And when I was 17, I would have never in my wildest thoughts think I would be where I'm at because of the trading industry and because of the overall business side of the trading industry. I would have never thought I would be where I'm at.
Yeah.
So it's pretty crazy, the uprise and everything. But with that being said, man, I do appreciate you so much for coming onto the podcast and sharing such impactful information, not only about the e-commerce space where you're teaching everyone this is not as easy as Ty Lopez makes it seem.
Yeah.
And also life, where it's like, there's going to be people who've been through what you've been through or going through what you went through, and they're going to see this and it's really going to impact their life to do something for the better. So for that, thank you so much for coming, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, man. I had a blast.
Awesome.